Happy New Year, fans!
Happy New Year!
A loaded show for you. Taking it through the next hour is Pooh Bear and TSG back from their week off. The Chief and I am B-Love. We have the NFL playoffs, the most recent Bucs game, Rays trades, bowl games, Twisted Tea, NHL, and the worst New Year's Eve broadcast I've ever seen. Wow. Stick around, because if you blink an eye, you'll miss something. This is the main event.
Oh boy, who put the bat signal out?
Oh man,
Bat Dad.
The heck? What in the heck is this?
it's Bat Dad.
Listen, here's the deal: he already knows he lost last week's picks. That's got to be what it is, right?
Oh,
so he just figured he'd come out.
Hey, listen, a COVID face covering is supposed to cover your nose and your mouth, not your eyes and your forehead.
Listen, gentlemen.
All right, so welcome to the show. We kicked it off. We have a ton to cover today.
It's a huge show. You can't look away.
Huge. So try to keep up. So let's start and get this out of the way with our picks from last week. So Pooh Bear, what do we have?
I had a vacation is what I had. I didn't make any picks. There was some clown.
For you. They were
no, I know. I saw them. This clown imposter, used car salesman comes in here, and he picks Miami over. Are you kidding me?
That is a legit team for you, man. You are a Miami Dolphins fan.
In his defense,
Gosh.
At the first, he did pick the Bills, and then he was no. I've known Pooh Bear for such a long time. I know he would never go against Dan Marino's Dolphins.
Mm-hmm. Dan Marino doesn't work there anymore. He hasn't worked there in quite some time.
Hey,
Dan worked for CBS longer than he worked for Miami.
All right, shady stuff going on here on the main event.
Isotoner gloves. That's all I can say. Hey, B-Love, I have the picks. From last week.
Let's hear this. This is illegitimate picks.
Here we go. At Dolphins versus the Bills. Two people picked the Dolphins. That was TSG and Pooh Bear. They were both wrong. Myself and B-Love went with the Bills.
No.
Roll the footage from last week. You'll see it. I'm right. Okay. Number two.
Listen. Go ahead, Chief.
Number two, we had the Vikings at the Lions. And for some reason, which I don't understand, I sided with TSG and went with the Lions. That's a bad football team, guys. I went with them. I was wrong. B-Love, Pooh Bear, you guys were both right on that. Our third pick, we don't know the answer to it. It's a Washington football team against the Eagles. That game was flexed until 8:00 tonight, so we don't know the answer to that. It was supposed to be a 1:00 game. I'm just going to go ahead and call it for me and B-Love.
That's a very important game for the Buccaneers, by the way.
It is an important game for the
Buccaneers.
Yeah. So I'm just going to assume that Washington's going to win that one, so we get points for that.
Why would I pick the Eagles? That's ridiculous.
You know what, Pooh Bear? I'll tell you what. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Thank you.
I'm going to move you over here. That means that TSG is the only one who picked the Eagles last
That's
week.
a political play.
So
that was so. You only did that so Pooh Bear would jump on the whole bandwagon, and now I have to wear the wig again. And this is
we're not done yet. Hold on, man. We're not done yet. So don't cry yet, because we still have the Steelers at the Browns, where Pooh Bear did pick the Browns. Pooh Bear picked.
I would have taken the Browns. Why would I pick the Steelers?
I don't know, but you didn't, because you're right, TSG. You picked the Steelers, and B-Love and I picked the Browns. which quick math shows me that I had 2 right, Pooh Bear 2 right. V-Love's our winner with 3 right, possibly 4 based on undefeated this week. Nice job, V-Love. TSG 0.
Momentum going into the playoffs.
So I think we know who's got the wig of shame this week. Let's just get that out of the way right away.
This, you know what? I'm gonna be honest. Our fans out there, they know what's going on here. They can see it. This is an unfair situation, and I'll be honest. Exactly. Thank you, Pooh Bear.
No, we don't see it that way. You weren't here. People voted for you. That's the way it is.
In fairness, you were on vacation.
Okay.
There is no official policy on taking vacation from the man event. So that basically means it was an unapproved day off.
Unapproved. 40 weeks in a row I was here.
Listen,
running this.
Here's the thing, TSG, what you ought to be thankful for is we didn't let Ashley make your picks.
Oof.
Okay. All right. I'll go with that. All right, so listen then. So we're doing picks early in the show. I have a timer here that I'm going to set once I put the wig on, and it's 15 minutes because that's the segments. Where is it at? I don't know. Segments, 15 minutes. We're going to set this bad boy for, okay? For this ridiculousness that's going on here today, the unfairness, yeah. All right, move on.
I don't know. Bitter party of one.
Wow.
Bitter party of one. All right, so listen.
Put the wig on.
Let's talk about the playoffs.
Let's talk play. Wait, finally, here we go.
The Buccaneers are finally in the playoffs, and we're gonna get a pretty decent team to play here in round 1.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a fortunate of that. There he is.
So they wrapped up. They wrapped up the number 5 seed, which means they get to play the NFC East winner.
Yeah.
At this point, it looks like it's going to be the Washington football team and their resurgence under Alex Smith. We'll see if that holds up tonight. They play the Eagles. The Giants would be the other opponent who beat the Cowboys today. If the Washington football team were to fail, I believe is the scenario. Mm-hmm. So either way, I like the Buccaneers' chances. That is an extremely weak division, unfortunately for them. But I think the way the Bucs are playing the last 4 or 5 weeks, they're going to dominate whichever of those 2 teams they play.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Right now, the team has a ton of momentum. 4 wins in a row. You're supposed to crush the teams you're supposed to crush, and they did that. Yep. And quite frankly, whoever we play next week, we should be crushing them too. So I'm feeling pretty good about what our chances. Now, it didn't come without a sacrifice today of what it appears Mike Evans probably will not be back.
Oh, really? I haven't heard that yet.
I would have to be my guess.
It looked to be a hyperextension of his left knee. Dirk Cutter. I'm thinking of the Falcons. Bruce Arians was on the radio on the drive home, and he was mentioning that he didn't think it was that serious. So if they play on Saturday, that's a 6-day turnaround. Probably not. You may be right. They may be without him. They may have to wait until they make it to the second round if that happens. So we'll see. I mean, obviously the injury reports will be out later this week. We'll see when he practices. And
well, I tell you what, it sure makes that signing of AB.
Woo!
Yeah.
Did he have 2 touchdowns today?
What's that?
Yeah, 2 touchdowns today. The good thing is that we have a stable of receivers that there's plenty that are going to be able to step up in Mike Evans' position. No one that can actually fill his position completely 100%, but we do have a large stable of receivers, and it just might work out for us because this scenario is not what other teams have prepared for. They prepared for what you see every week, which is Mike Evans in the lineup. Now you may have to prepare for a whole different, a little bit of a different lineup.
Well, listen, Buccaneer fans need to buckle their chin straps because the haters are going to come out. There are going to be a bunch of people that are going to say Mike Evans should not have played today. They're going to say that Tom Brady shouldn't have played today, and then a bunch of other starters should not have played. Here's the reality of the situation. The difference in playing an NFC East champion and playing the Saints or the Seahawks is a huge difference in the playoffs. Okay, We needed to win today because we are going to play a team with a losing record one way or the other now. Mike Evans had to play. I did not want to see Mike Evans get injured, but the fact of the matter is he needed to play. He played for 16 weeks before this without an injury. It's unlucky. Here's hoping that it's nothing more than just a strain and he's able to come back and play. But listen, Washington, not a good team. The Giants, also not a good team. Those two teams do have an advantage on us, though. And that is it is going to be cold. I don't care if it's a 1 o'clock game, it's an 8 o'clock game. You know, the Bucs historically have not played well in cold weather. We do, however, have a quarterback that does play in cold weather and has had a lot of success. We have a receiver, Antonio Brown, who played with the Steelers in cold weather and has had a lot of success. So I think that the Bucs have positioned themselves, hopefully with Mike Evans, but even without him, to be in a great position for next week.
Chief, we're already in the playoffs here. I mean, like the wind that blows in this beautiful hair, lovely locks that I've got going on here. I mean, I'm going to tell you that I think that was a risk they didn't have to take. They're already in the playoffs. And the Washington Redskins, big deal. The Rams, big deal. I mean, I think that, you know, we got so many receivers. We got to sit Mike Evans. We got to sit some of these other guys because some other guys are going to step up and right in their position, and they're just as good. You know, now we're going to have to suffer with the consequences.
I disagree. I think that momentum, we've talked about it on the show for weeks, last 3 or 4 weeks, momentum going into the playoffs matters. Wins in December matter. This was a must-win game for us. Already in the playoffs or not, this was a must-win game for us, in my opinion. Now, I will say this. This is a man event first, and this will probably be the only time this happens. I was wrong about AB.
Woo! Oh! Say it again.
I was wrong about AB.
Say it. Go ahead.
I mean,
what do you mean? Tell us what you mean by that.
I mean, I was not for the signing of AB. I didn't like bringing him in halfway through the season when the culture of the team has already been established. They were struggling at the time, specifically even offensively, trying to find who their playmakers were going to be because they have so many options. And he just added one more cog to that, I felt. Plus, we all know he's had locker room issues in the past. And he brings a lot of his personal issues onto the football field and into the clubhouse. I'm not for that at all. So far, it looks like the guy's put his head down and played football. He's starting to play really well. I think he's had touchdowns in each of the last 3 weeks, maybe
3 or 4. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we're going to need him. He might be if Mike Evans is out, he becomes the number one receiver, in my opinion, not Chris Godwin.
So, you know what? I'm going to have to agree. I'm going to agree with you on the fact that I was also not in favor of signing Antonio Brown. And I blamed some of our troubles on Antonio Brown early on, after we signed him, because I really felt that he was a distraction. I did understand that there was a potential for him to step up and play. And of course, here he is. And, I have to stand up and say, it looks like at this point I was wrong. But I disagree with you that Antonio Brown is not the number one receiver. Godwin, he made 2 incredible touchdown catches today. He showed that, he is, I believe, a number one receiver on almost any other team in the NFL. Antonio Brown, he brings his own difficulties to a defense, but I don't think Antonio Brown's the number one. I think Godwin steps up and becomes the number one if, of course, Mike Evans can't play.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't totally disagree. I felt similar to the way you guys feel about, bringing in someone that didn't really fit the culture. But he has proved himself to be not a distraction. He is roomed up with Tom Brady, and they've worked some things out. You could see it today. There was almost a tangible connection between the two during one of the touchdown celebrations. It was like these guys have been playing together forever. So
and that's what I wasn't communicating well, Poober. Thanks for I think you're starting to see those two guys sync up on the field. And at the beginning, it just wasn't there.
As a matter of fact, the touchdown, the first touchdown AB caught in the corner of the end zone. I'm not sure if that was the end zone you were at with the suite level or not, but Scotty Miller was actually the intended target from what we could see. It looked like Scotty Miller was running a baseline on the goal or the goalpost to the corner, and that's where the ball was thrown. He had lost his defender. Well, what I don't think Tom Brady saw was that Antonio Brown lost his defender as well when they slipped, and he was running free to the back corner of the end zone as well, and just snagged the ball out of midair. It was an amazing catch. But that on that celebration, it was almost like, I know where you're going with this ball. I don't know if Scotty Miller is going to be there or not, but I'm going to be there. And when I see the ball, I'm going to bring it down for the score. That was all that was communicated to me as a viewer in that celebration, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's great, Pooh Bear. I listen, we're looking at a team that scored over 40 points the last 3 games. And hey, we left a couple touchdowns on the field in the first half.
Yeah.
Right. There was 3 field goals in the first half. Those could have been and should have been touchdowns. We got to move on a little bit. I want to ask you guys a question while we're still talking playoffs is we're starting to see COVID affect some teams at a high level. Like this week, Alvin Kamara and the entire running back room of the Saints were unavailable.
Right.
What are y'all's thoughts on, we saw the NHL and Major League Baseball and the NBA, don't fall asleep, Chief, it's just one sentence.
I'm here. I got you.
At the playoff bubble, it doesn't look like the NFL is going to do anything, but do you think some of these teams should take precautions into their own hands?
I think that a team that's serious about going far in the playoffs, if the NFL doesn't want to mandate a bubble, that's fine, but the team should mandate a bubble. And you know what? Even if the teams don't want to mandate a bubble, these players should take it upon themselves to say, listen, guys, we're doing it because we can't afford. Listen, there's only 22 starters on a team, okay? 22 starters on a team, and one starter can easily take out 2 or 3, like we saw in the Bucs today. You know, Delvin White took out Shaq Barrett. Okay, so you start taking out starters. That's a huge deal. You take out 2 or 3 guys, especially on, say, defense. Well, there's only 11 defensive starters, so you take out 3. Now you've lost a significant portion of your team. These guys should take this very seriously and go into the bubble on their own, even if the NFL doesn't require it.
Well, it just cost Dwayne Haskins his job. You know, Dwayne Haskins.
You're absolutely right.
The backup for the Washington football team, that's how serious they're taking it. He was reckless, went to what I think was a strip club or a gentleman's club, was suspended for the week, and then after the suspension was actually released by the team and is now without a team. So at least the Washington football team's taking it serious.
And at the beginning of the season, he was the heir apparent to play quarterback there.
So I think the Bucs are going to be okay. So Bucs made it all season long. They had no COVID issues. They were doing awesome. And then what happened? Holidays.
Bye week.
Holidays and the bye week and the holidays happened, right? What happens in the holidays? They make exceptions. People get around each other like, you know what? I'm going to be around my family for Christmas or whatever it's going to be. I think from here on out, unless there's a problem with, you know, if they have secluded these guys quick enough and kept the guys out that are going to spread it to anyone else, we're going to be okay. As long as we're going to get to some of these sporadic stuff that's going to go on, you know, one other guy gets hit, and it keeps going on, I think we're going to be okay. Now that the holidays are gone, I think the Bucs are going to do what they've been doing all season, and they're going to prevent the COVID thing from knocking them out.
But I think you're right. If
Brady's house, it's big enough.
That's what I was just going to say.
You mean
all go to
Jeter's
Brady's house. Yeah,
You
whatever.
mean Jeter's house?
Yeah.
Well, Jeter's house. You know, they can all. Here's the thing. I will say this about the Barrett and White missing the game today. Matt Ryan knick-knacked 5 and 10-yard passes over us all day long. Those guys were missed in the middle of the field.
Certainly. Certainly. But we covered Ridley. How about that? Last time we did not cover Ridley. I'm very happy.
Any thoughts on the NFL playoffs, guys?
No, I think that's what Chief was saying about having some sort of seclusion, a team mandated bubble. I think that's a genius idea. Go ahead and lock off a wing at the Holiday Inn closest to Tampa Stadium. Bust those guys to and fro.
Staying at the Holiday Inn.
Whatever.
The
Radisson, the Motel 6, whatever's closest.
Yeah.
Whatever's closest.
Hilton, baby. Come on.
You shuttle them in, bus in, bus out. That's the only place you're allowed to go is $1 place for training. You've got a weight room. You've got all the food, everything you need. I'm sorry about your wife and kids. They're going to understand once that paycheck comes for the Super Bowl. Put them in seclusion. Make your own bubble. That's a genius idea.
Hey, Lightning did it for a long time. Hockey players did it for a long time. These guys can do it for these guys can do it for a month or two.
And as a bonus, those guys get sexually frustrated and get hungry. They get reckless and they play well.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother topic for a different show. All right, listen, moving on from the NFL, the Rays lost some key cogs this week to their World Series run.
But did they? Did they? And which trade in the past, be it James Shields, David Price, Scott Kazmir, Drew Smiley, Blake Snell, which starting pitcher have the Rays traded that they genuinely missed and didn't get something in return for?
You missed Archer.
Chris Archer.
Come on.
What a fleecing of the Pirates that happened there. So
yeah, we own them.
I used to be a Rays fan that was upset whenever my favorite player got traded. But anymore, it's like, look at these new guys that are much better, because that seems to be what happened. So I'm excited for these two prospects they got. The one pitcher, I think his name is.
We got like 4 or 5 guys for him.
They did, but you always know like the top 2 are the ones you're looking for. The other ones are just icing on the cake.
None of them with Major League Baseball experience.
Well, except for Louis Patino. Patino actually pitched in the World Series in the playoff run for the Padres this past year. He looks like he is the prize of that whole trade. And then Francisco Mija, as we know, the Rays have no catchers except for what's his name?
Zunino.
Zunino. Thank you. Re-signed Zunino. So this is Francisco Mija is I'm guessing the prospects the Rays are counting on to be the new catcher. So I'm okay. The Rays seem to have this crystal ball that they are using to groom and to grow this franchise. And as a Rays fan, they have not let me down yet with that philosophy. So I'm okay with it.
What was the total package that we got, Pooh Bear?
There was 2 catchers and 2 pitchers. Louis Patino is the key. Hey, you can take your wig off.
Hang on. The timer went off. Did you hear it?
Yeah, we heard it. Go and take your wig off.
All right.
Hey, so
Francisco Mija, Blake Hunt is another right-handed pitcher, and then Cole Wilcox is another catcher.
So Blake Snell, if you go back to Minnesota episode roughly 3, you're gonna see a rant from this guy.
You're gonna see an unhappy chief.
Ranting on Blake. Okay, and here's my opinion on Blake Snell. Blake Snell, he showed up. He showed up for the season. He played. He got paid more than me. Okay, and he threw one game that was lights out. Game 6 of the World Series, he was absolutely unhittable. Okay, after that point, before that point in time, he was throwing for about 5 innings a game. That's it. He was throwing 5 innings a game, and then he was out. The fact that Blake Snell is gone doesn't really, offend me too much. He was going to cost the Rays $40 million over the next 3 years on a team that can't afford that. We need to take that kind of money and spread it out.
20% of the total payroll.
It's a huge disproportion. And, just his attitude with, my rant was about the fact that he wanted to get paid, even though he wasn't going to, play that many games last year. It was going to affect a lot of other people were going to be affected. The people that, not even on the staff, but, stadium workers and everything else were affected by his attitude and desire not to play because he wasn't going to get paid, $20 million, whatever it was. So I'm okay with seeing him go, and I say, let's bring in some new guys that appreciate the opportunity we're giving him. We're giving them.
Who's going to be our starters?
Yeah,
that is probably the biggest concern I have. Again, as a Rays fan, watching Charlie Morton sign with the Braves, seeing Blake Snell traded away, that's your top 2 rotation. I mean, Glasnow is arguably a 1 or 2. So you're right. So now you have Glasnow as your number 1 guy. Michael Wacha.
You still have McKay.
They signed Michael Wacha, who's an experienced starter from, I think he was with the Braves last year.
And we
Anyway, he
lost
comes
somebody
in.
else with the injury bug that was that got some rotation time last year too, not just McKay.
It was I'll think of it, but they do have some young studs coming up. They have the forever promise of lost
That
his
guy,
name.
yes.
I know. I just had it.
He's a stud.
He is a stud. Golly, I had it again. You said stud and lost it.
So will Luis Patino come in right away, or what?
Patino could, and I the way I'm looking at it with the coaching that they have and the pitching staff that is there in existence, I think he probably could slot in as a 3 or 4. They're probably going to do that anyway, bringing him in. They've got Yarbrough still. Here we got a comment from Mr. Carlson. I'm fine seeing him. Yeah, there you go. So Matty Ho says, adios, vaya con Dios, Senor Snell.
Yeah, I think you're right, TSG. There's going to be some questions about the rotation, but one thing this team always seems to have
Brett Honeywell.
Oh, yeah. He did it.
Is pitching. This team always seems to have pitching, and I think too, we haven't run with a 5-man rotation in 2 or 3 seasons.
Right.
We're going to go with a 4-man rotation and some long arms in the bullpen. And, we're unconventional. We might not even roll a starter out there in the first inning. So I just think baseball is changing too, by the way. And the Rays are on the forefront of that from a pitching perspective. I think you're starting to see other teams follow along with that. We saw that in the World Series. I think both teams rolled a starter in 2 games. Not an opener. I'm sorry, not a starter.
They did.
So I think you're going to continue to see that. And I think you need a couple of bulls, because when the playoffs come, you need to be able to go to a 3-man rotation. So you need a couple of those, and the rest of it, they're, and I'll tell you, one of the things that we saw a new rule in last season was that the reliever had to go through the end of the inning or get 3 outs.
3 pitchers.
That wasn't as big of a factor as I thought it was going to be.
It definitely played a factor in especially some National League games. I don't know about you guys, but I don't watch that much National League ball, but the ones I did watch, it played a huge factor because, a lot of times you're setting up the pitcher who has to hit, by the way. Blake Snell, grab a bat, because now you got to do that. So, you're setting that up, and then you're trying to position, who's going to play and how the lineup's going to look in the next inning and who's the last out and all that. It's a very, very heady type of game. But kudos to the Padres. They look like they were stacking up to take on the Dodgers. They really want to win the NL West, it looks like.
Wow, yeah.
And
they're
take
all
that crown.
All their chips
They are going
in.
all in, which is not a bad idea. They've got some great players in the position-wise with
hey, Tatis, he can teach Snell how to hit.
Fernando Tatis Jr. I mean, they still have Manny Machado.
Yeah,
He is fun to watch. So
Now,
they are going all in San Diego.
Pooh Bear, is there a possibility that we are going to get to see Mr. Franco this year, our number 1 prospect?
Wander Franco may, who knows? With the Rays, there is no telling. I can tell you this, it's probably going to be contract related whether or not he comes up. If his contract is favorable to the Rays to get him some playing time and still maintain control, then yes. If not, then no. But right now, there's no place for him. There's no place for him right now.
Plus, the Padres still have Will Myers.
Will with 1 L, they do?
Will with 1 L.
Okay, there you go. So
he was one of the league leaders in home runs in the shortened season.
Yeah.
All right, so the other player we see go is Alvarado, who was a late inning guy for us. Got a lot of big outs. This dude had a fastball that broke more than some big leaguers' curveball.
Yeah.
That thing was nasty.
Big, heavy, up in the upper 90s.
Yep. Yeah, that's a big arm also going from the bullpen. But I don't know. I mean, I think we've said it here today is this team never seems to be short on pitching. They know something we don't know. And I think they're young and fun, and they'll be fun to watch again. I'm looking forward to spring training and hopefully actually making the Man Event trip this year down to Port Charlotte. That'd be a good vlog, by the way.
It's going to be fantastic if we get to go.
So we'll see. So any other thoughts, gents?
I'm good. Pitchers and catchers report.
Alvarado was a pitcher who was okay as long as he stayed ahead. But the minute he got hit, the minute he got touched, it got in his head. And I'm going to tell you, you could guarantee he was going to give up a run and probably a couple walks at that point. You know, when he was ahead, it was fantastic to watch because you're right. That fastball was so good, but
nasty.
You know, but again, I'm okay seeing him go because I honestly believe that the Rays have something up their sleeves, and I'm just waiting to see what it is.
Yep. Excited.
So, hey, real quick before we move on to the next topic, and the next thing, if you're watching us live, we've got a number of folks on right now. We're about to roll into the NHL and the Lightning, but let's take a quick timeout. Did anybody watch any of these broadcasts from New Year's Eve?
Oh gosh!
Wow.
Wait. Let me get my
fire.
Let me get my J-Lo mask.
My J-Lo mask.
Well, I can't wait to see this.
It doesn't matter which network that you watched, in my opinion. The Chief and I were together. We watched a couple. They were all horrible. But here's what it made me.
What Farfanargan was that?
Dude, it was horrible. Even Ryan Seacrest, who normally is pretty reliable, you know, that was not his best work. And
you had the CNN guy asking the other guy if he wants to go drop acid at his apartment later. You had Cyndi Lauper who dug her up from her grave.
Dude, she was bad.
Hey,
and then
talk about time after time.
Wow. Hey, in fairness to J-Lo, her routine got better as it went on.
Yes.
I mean,
but my question is, if you're going to bring J-Lo in, because she was the last show, so to speak.
Well, she stopped the song too soon, by the way.
Before the ball dropped. Okay. She didn't sing anything any of us have ever heard.
Well, she tried to sing Dream On by Aerosmith, but she butchered it.
Nah, that takes a special talent there.
What? The flim flam, dude. Listen, I think the four of us could go up there and do a better job.
That's what I'm saying, Pooh Bear. Bring it. I'm saying right now, we are up for grabs. The first major network to sign us is going to get the best deal. If you wait past the end of this week, there will be multiple offers on the table.
I have an idea. Hold on. I have an idea. Listen, we can there he goes. We got Andrew. There he is. Okay, hold on. I got an idea.
We went from crawling to walking to darting.
Running.
Man, the kid's killing my idea right now.
Sorry.
So here's my suggestion. We can take two events and blog it into one. Number one, of course, is New Year's Eve 2022. Number two is Flagpole Day. How we make them work together is we take a new ball, our own ball, we strap it to the top of B-Love's flagpole, and we put it live there, and we do our own.
I like that idea.
I love it.
So I'm going to put this out there.
About that.
ABC, Dick Clarke's Rockin Eve, whatever you got, we will do this for the price of airfare, hotel, a couple of meals. What else? What other demands do you guys have?
By airfare, we only fly private.
Of course.
Oh,
okay. We fly private.
Is there another way?
I thought that was, inferred in my statement there.
Okay.
So
and
we'll do it.
Only green M&Ms.
You know what? You can have the. I'm okay not having the green. That seems a little demanding, a little too prima donna-ish. That's probably what J-Lo asked for.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go that route. I'm not going to go that route.
I think the four of us could you imagine like Pooh Bear down in Miami, the Chief over in LA? You know what I'm saying?
I don't want to go to LA. I want to be the guy in New Orleans where the beignets are.
Okay,
there you go.
We'll send TSG
and the bombs.
You're in New Orleans. I of course am in Manhattan.
You can have Manhattan, yeah.
Where you going, TSG?
He's going to LA since the Chief is going to New Orleans.
I just got this vision of me trying to do the countdown while I'm eating a beignet, and I'm like blowing powdered sugar all over the place.
How hard is this? Right? You line up some relevant acts. That's all you have to do.
Relevant keyword there.
Yes. They're not on tour, right? It's not like you've got these normally that's a reason why they can't get so and so because they're on a European tour and they can't get out of that. They're contractually obligated. Nobody's on tour right now. You've got the pick of the litter.
Sure.
And you choose Cyndi Lauper?
Lauren Daigle, because Lauren Daigle got kicked off of the deal at last minute. Lauren Daigle went down for she's a Christian artist, and she went down for a prayer festival kind of a thing that went on down there. And while she was down there for this prayer festival, they asked her, somebody recognized her and asked her to sing a song. So she went up and sang a song like all of a sudden out of nowhere. And then the mayor got mad at Lauren Daigle because it was a crowd of people that, there was too many people that were together. There weren't enough people wearing masks. So the mayor knocked her off of the New Year's show for New Orleans. So that was what happened.
Oh my gosh.
And Lauren Daigle, she's very good.
Anyway, I'm putting it out there. The main event, I blocked my calendar off already because I know how sorely we need to be helping one of these major networks. You can reach us at themanevent@gmail.com.
Yes.
And you can go ahead and book us.
I have another idea. What if we do it
like Groundhog Day?
If we do it from Australia? I mean, we can do it like the first one. We can be number one.
First.
Yes.
They're first.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. We'll do it number one. They can move the show forward like 14 hours. And there we are, like on the beach in Australia. It's warm. It's summertime in Australia right now. That's way better than New York.
Here we go. We do Australia.
Yes.
They put us on our private jet.
Yes.
Fly us back to America, to the United States, and we do it a second time.
Wait a minute. Don't stop there. Let's go to Singapore first. So Australia to Singapore, maybe to Istanbul.
We can
make our way with the Prime Meridian line.
We can do New Year's Eve celebrations around the globe. We'll probably get 14, 15 in. Yes, I'm with you on this. Oh, that's fantastic. We can have a party on the plane. Oh,
I can promise you J-Lo's salary was more than what the plane tickets would cost to get us to do this.
And we're way better. We're way better.
So much better.
Right, proving that we're better.
Yes.
The NHL kicks off this week.
Training camp this week. The real deal next week. I think it's the 13th. The Lightning are on national TV against the hated Blackhawks. It's going to be fantastic.
Please use their name properly. The defending Stanley Cup champion.
Pardon moi. You are correct, sir. The defending Stanley Cup champions will be defending their title beginning January 13th against the hated Chicago Blackhawks.
And Pooh Bear, can you pronounce the GM again? Julian
Brisebois.
This guy is savvy, man. I was a little bit worried about Steve Yzerman leaving because he did so many great moves. But Mr. Julian Brisebois apparently is pretty savvy himself. He's pulled off some pretty cool stuff because we're looking at a salary cap that was having some problems. We're kind of on the bubble there. And he made some interesting moves that enabled us to get rid of $15.816 million, including Kucherov, of course. But he made some moves there that were pretty good. So we were able to sign Chernak and some of the other guys that we needed to re-sign.
Kucherov is hurt, though. We didn't cut him.
Yeah.
Kucherov is an interesting point because he is hurt. He's going to miss the season. Mm-hmm. But what that does is his salary doesn't have to be counting towards the salary cap, which helps the Lightning. So it's actually a win-win situation. They don't have to release him and lose his value. He can come back for the playoffs, but he doesn't take a hit for the salary cap, which I think is amazing. That happened. It sucks that he's not going to be able to play. I don't know if he is all that vital. I mean, obviously he's an important piece to the Lightning's power play and their scoring opportunities. He's a fantastic scorer, dynamic in the league. But I think they can get it done without him leading up to the playoffs.
When we get Stamkos back, we did get rid of Coburn and Paquette. Paquette, who has been a longtime Lightning player.
Yeah.
But Coburn was a $1.75 million cap hit, and Paquette was a $1.65 million cap hit. Now we don't have to take that. And then they got the rights to goaltender Anders Nilsson and forward Marian Gaborik. both of those guys are going on the injured reserve list. They go on the injured reserve, and then now we get to clear their $7.475 million cap space as well.
Yep.
And of course, we're able to make the signings that we need to do. So some pretty savvy stuff there, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. From a financial standpoint, that's the the genesis of all these trades. I don't think they would have parted ways with Coburn or Paquette without the needed for cap space. So that and the favorable, injury, I guess you'd call it, to
Kucherov. Yeah.
Thank you.
Like, how is it that these guys, and this is any sport, like he knew he was hurt before they reported to training camp? It always drives me crazy. Like a guy shows up at training camp, oh, I got to have season-ending surgery.
I think in this case he knew he was injured, but the team doctors wanted to look at him and verify how severe the injury was. And and this is the crappy part about the NHL. They don't tell you exactly what's wrong with anyone, and that drives me up the wall. But he does have a lower body injury, and it's going to be, I guess it's going to need some surgery of some sort or some sort of procedure that's going to keep him out. But I think it was a kind of I don't think what you just described, it was happening in this case. I think this was a mutual thing where they didn't really want to expose themselves of not having Kucherov for the season too early, and they wanted to get a good look at him personally because he does live in Russia, so he was not here during the offseason, even though it was really short.
Go ahead, Chief. Sorry.
So, two thoughts on the Lightning and the hockey season coming up. Number one is that only one team has ever won back-to-back championships in the NHL. It's really hard to do, but I think there are a couple of things here that are going to help the Lightning do it. Number one is going to be that they have a shortened season. I mean, this is only a 56-game season coming up. Number two is the fact that it's a short time off. These guys aren't separated by 6 months. They're only separated by 3 months, and they're back together again. So the chemistry that got them, to winning the Stanley Cup, is still going to be fundamentally there. So you have to feel that the Stanley Cup are going to be, one of the top 3 teams, to go ahead and win this thing. I would also say, probably Vegas was going to be another team to win it. And I'm not exactly sure who I would pick for maybe third. Let's just go Lightning Vegas right now.
Well, one of the interesting things that's going to happen is the divisions have been mixed up this year. So the Lightning are going to be in a division with the Nashville Predators, which isn't traditional. The who else is in their division? It's some very unusual pairings are going to happen in this shortened season. It's going to be interesting to see.
Well, I mean, personally, I think that makes it kind of interesting. It
absolutely does.
Baseball do something like that every now and again, right? I think you saw baseball do something like that again every now and again. I think it levels the playing field a little bit. You look at the
every
AL
game
East.
Every game matters.
AL East, you got 3 perennial contenders. I'm adding the Rays being the third now.
Sure.
You got to bring your A game to play in the AL East.
Mm-hmm.
If they mixed it up a little bit, like we're seeing right now in football with the NFC East, all dumpster fire teams, but one of them is going to make the playoffs.
Right.
Go ahead, Chief.
No, go ahead.
Well, what do you guys think of these big forwards that they're signing? They got some big guys that they found in the draft. Gage Conclaves and this other guy, Jack Finley. They're both one of them is at 6'5", and the other one is at like 6'3". And these guys were stars in the WHL. You think they're trying to beef up these forwards now instead of having these small guys? Or
they definitely are. That was what pretty much lost or got them out of the playoffs the previous 3 seasons, was the tougher frontline play by their opponents. The Lightning are a very finesse team where they, especially with Stamkos and Kucherov, they are snipers. They look to score from the tops of the circles. They don't really come down and grind into the net like a lot of these bigger forwards do. Your Ovechkins, even with the Brad Marchand or the guys that play in Boston with with Marchand. Anyway, but the point is they're looking to get some size up front to start to force their will upon some of those other teams and grind out and get those goals that they've been trying to snipe that they've lost in the playoffs.
Yeah. I don't know. If you ask me, big guys and skates don't really mix that well.
Yeah, well, tell that to Zdeno Chara.
Yeah, guess who he's not with anymore?
The Bruins.
He's no longer a Boston Bruin. We put him out. We put him out on his last game. We put him out.
They still got Pasternak, and they've still got Charlie.
Yeah, I just think, big guys and skates, they don't seem to mix too well with me. I could be wrong, but you got to be fast and agile, and 6'5" doesn't seem very fast and agile.
Yeah, well, when you're 5'10", fast and agile, and you run into a guy that's 6'6" and agile,
that's gonna hurt.
The 6'6" guy wins usually.
Yeah, you got to stay out of his way.
Well,
which is why you're agile.
So is the 6'6" guy.
Do you think these guys, since they played so far into the playoffs and they have the least amount of time off, do you think that's going to have an effect on how they perform next season?
I don't think so. These are the best trained athletes in the world. To me, people bring up soccer players and tennis players and stuff. I'll take a hockey player all day long for when it comes to resilience and athleticism. They are so much different. They're built and they train so differently. I don't think they're going to have a single problem. And they're used to doing this. These guys are used to playing in, European leagues, especially when they're younger. They play in the junior leagues. They play in any league they can get into in order to make it to the National Hockey League. I don't think they're going to have a problem with it.
So I think the flip side of that, TSG, is these guys spent an incredible amount of time away from their families in the bubble. And most of them are foreign. And they probably went to wherever they're from during the off season. And I don't know that they got, one, the care that they needed, or two, the workouts in that they needed. And you're looking at a short training camp. It's a 1-week training camp. I think you're going to see throughout the league some early injuries. And you're going to see some guys like Kucherov who come in that didn't realize they are as hurt as they are because they weren't getting the care that they would have gotten had they been locally here in the States.
We will see.
So, but what I am excited about is the last time the Lightning won the Stanley Cup, we did not get an opportunity to defend the cup because of the lockout. So it's exciting to me because by the way, that team that would have been defending was an amazing hockey team. That we did not get to see that team reach its full potential because of the lockout. So I'm excited to see what these guys might have an opportunity to do.
So question, do you guys think that they raise the Stanley Cup flag now, or they wait for more fans to be able to come into the stadium and enjoy it?
Right away.
You raise it. It's as much about getting those guys hyped up to play hockey as it is getting the fans hyped up to play hockey.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You raise that flag. Yep.
Agreed.
All right. So let's talk a little. Let's move subjects a little bit. This week, we had a lot of our college bowl games. I think we probably all had some surprises with the college football playoff semifinals. And something we've all kicked around already, we'll do here for the show too, is we're seeing some players who were not in major bowl games opting out in an effort to preserve their draft status for the NFL draft. So where do you guys want to start?
I'll start with Clemson losing. The heck? That was a serious disappointment.
Listen, I think here on this show, we were all appalled with Ohio State even getting an invite to the state. And they sure looked like they belonged there.
And so was Dabo Swinney when he only ranked them 11 in the coaches poll.
Yeah, he was with us.
He ranked Ohio State 11, and Ohio State just went up there and whooped their tail.
Hey, when you're fresh because you haven't played any games, I mean, that's probably, you're probably going to do pretty good.
You think that's what it was?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's a huge factor. I also think that, Clemson doesn't have a lot of tape on Ohio State. Ohio State had 11 games of tape on Clemson.
Right.
So your question, B-Love, was about players not playing to preserve their position in the draft. Okay, so I understand that. I really do. Here's where I have a problem with it, is that there are so many other factors involved, and they are only thinking about themselves here. So we're talking, number one, we're talking coaches. Their jobs, their careers, their livelihood are on the line. They've invested heavily in these players. Florida had 9 players, is that right? 9 players sit out because they didn't want to get injured in a bowl game. So 9 players sit out. How are you supposed to play the number 6 team in the country when almost half of your starters decide, hey, I'm out, coach. I'm sorry. And then, okay, so you've got the coaches that are on the, by the way, a significant number of Florida's assistant coaches were fired after losing that bowl game. Okay, then you have the fans that have invested their time and their ownership, in your team. And then you just essentially turn their back on them. You say, oh, I'm out. There's school pride involved. You say, hey, I'm a Gator, I'm a Buckeye, whatever a Buckeye is, nobody seems to know. But whatever that is, you turn your back on your school. And then finally, and this is the one that would bother me the most as a player, is the other players. You've got a number of players on that team. I'm going to say Florida right now. I'm a Florida fan. I'm going to pick on Florida. You got a number of players on Florida's football team. This is the last football game they're ever going to get to play. This is it. This is their finale for life. And you turn around and say, hey, guys, glad I got you here. I'm out. That is not fair. That is not right. I say it's unethical.
Well, I take it you're talking about Florida specifically. Of those 9 players, 4 of them were wide receivers.
Yeah. Oh,
right?
You know what?
Kyle Trask is a Heisman finalist.
Yeah,
Do you think he was instrumental in putting those guys on the map?
Sure, he was. You can't catch a ball that's not thrown to you.
Yeah, getting an opportunity to play in the NFL. I think you owe it to that guy, to go out there and play.
Absolutely. They absolutely, and they just turned around and said, I am more important than you.
So let me ask you this question to that point. If you're an NFL team and you're looking at players, do you take into account that this player let down the rest of his teammates for themselves?
Pooh Bear, start it off.
All right. Well, first of all, let's back up. Let's talk about what a bowl game is. It is a reward for your hard work during the season. It does not count for anything other than you get to be in the parade and you get to go to the whatever festival that town is having that day.
So it's football that doesn't count. Okay.
I couldn't even tell you what bowl the Florida Gators played in. Was this the Skittles Bowl? What was this?
Skittles Bowl.
What was it? What? Can somebody tell me? Because I don't know. I honestly don't know.
The Cotton Bowl. It was the
Cotton Bowl. Cotton Bowl's pretty big goal. But point being, this is a reward for them. If they don't want the reward, don't take the reward. Listen, those players you mentioned, those other seniors that got to play and lost, those coaches that got fired, they're not going to be calling these guys after they get drafted and saying, hey, listen, I know you got drafted really low. You missed out on that $1 million bonus. You can come stay with me. No, these guys are playing for themselves because they're playing for positioning for their future, not for their past. They have a reward for the past or a reward for the future. Which do you choose?
Yes, I agree with you, Pooh Bear.
In a lot of cases, they're there on scholarship. They have an obligation.
Okay.
Well, and at this point being,
they fulfilled their obligation by playing the games they were scheduled for. This is a reward. It's like playing the Pro Bowl. You're going to doubt a player who doesn't play in the Pro Bowl and be, oh, well, he's only looking out for himself.
Yeah,
no, it's a reward.
If this is not a game that's for a playoff towards the championship or the championship game itself, you have to protect yourself. Kyle Trask should have never even played in that game. He actually hurt it. He hurt his draft status because he had a terrible day. These guys got to plan for their future. They got to plan for their paycheck. And they got to, that's what this whole thing is about.
Is that why Notre Dame lost? Because they had players hold out? Oh, no, that's right. They all played because that game mattered. It's a playoff. It wasn't a reward candy bowl.
So you're saying this is that Cotton Bowl is a reward. It's
Yes.
I mean, if you're going to call it a reward, it's a pretty significant reward. There's millions of dollars on the line. There is, by the way, there was
not for that player.
For the school there is that put them up, that fed them, that educated them, that trained them, that got them to the position that said, hey, by the way, now because of our program, you are now an NFL prospect, significant NFL prospect. And they turn around and say, thank you very much, I'm out.
I got news. If they're that good, they would have been a prospect no matter where they played.
No, they would not. There is a lot. You take that kid that's 18 years old out of high school and you put him at say HCC in their football program. That's Hillsborough Community College for anybody watching outside. They're not good. Well, they don't have a football program. You're right. But how many people are drafted out of these schools that you've never heard of?
Right, and those schools aren't going to bowl games. What I'm saying is, if you're a blue chip athlete and you lead your team to a bowl game of some sorts after a successful season, and you don't play and they lose, then that just proves how valuable you are. But those players would have been successful no matter what team they played on because they're good players.
These players want to get paid. They want to get paid. They want prestige. They want all this stuff. But yet the one thing they need to do is show up.
They did right in the for the 11 games that they were contracted to do.
This is part of it. It's just like
it's a reward.
Hey, I'm not going to play in the playoffs. It's not part of the system.
All those players played in the playoffs. This is a reward, not a playoff.
This is not a reward. This is significant.
Yes, it is.
It is significant. It absolutely is.
It's only if it's playoff.
How do these players take it seriously when the coach doesn't even take it seriously? Mullen even said, the players could have opted out if they wanted to.
And then he fired the assistant coaches? I don't think so. Mullen can say that, but he doesn't mean that. That's not the truth.
The bigger thing in my crawl is you let some teammates down. You were there scholarship. I think you have an obligation to the university. TSG, you said that Trask had a bad game. Well, his top 4 receivers didn't play. And if you watch that game,
how did they let the number 5 receiver down by giving him playing time in a national game like that?
He's not prepared for it. He's 18 years old. Last year he was playing at somewhere high school.
At Armwood.
He's not at Armwood High School. He is not prepared. He's not a grown college athlete. He hasn't been in the system, learned the plays.
And look how much better prepared he's going to be in August in 21.
No. Listen, he's had a confident shot. He's been destroyed. Don't put a guy in before they're ready.
Listen, as fired up as you guys are, I hope one of you isn't holding a Twisted Tea.
What a great video.
Watching you talk smack to.
Right here.
There it is.
If you don't know what we're talking about, there's the link right there. You can click on it and see for yourself. I believe this was in Ohio.
It was Ohio, yeah.
Ohio,
a convenience store in Ohio.
Convenience store in Ohio. A young patron walks into a Circle K. He wants to purchase a beverage. I'm not even really sure what he was looking to get. Sees what appears to be quite a drunken man and his friends berating the cashiers behind the cash register, who happen to be African American. He is using some derogatory language towards these cashiers. The man who walks in happens to also be African American and is not taking this very lightly. He asked the man politely, please stop using that kind of language. You're out in public. There's no need for that. Man who's irate starts to challenge this man. One thing leads to another, and ends up catching a Twisted Tea to the face. Fantastic video.
The Twisted Tea exploded.
It exploded. My question is, okay, so he picks up the Twisted Tea. It's on the counter. What were his options? I mean, he picks up the Twisted Tea. Was it Twizzlers? Was it a hot dog? What else was available to him? Because in my opinion, he didn't have a long time to study it. He made a great choice because, like you said, the boom, perfect on video.
Yeah.
So as someone who has studied the countertops at many convenience stores,
okay.
I go shopping for my health food there. The counter is full of options.
Okay.
And you have a few. One that, a lot of them probably weren't as good as the Twisted Tea. I think that ended up being his best option. Of course, you have the crack smoking rose, which comes with a little glass face, which after you present the fake rose to your girlfriend or significant other, you can use the glass for smoking crack. Of course, you have the lighters, the ever-present Bic lighter. It's not going to give you as much of a smack as the Twisted Tea did.
I'm thinking about the jar that you put like your pennies in.
For the crippled kids, for Jerry's kids,
that thing has mass to it. I think it would hurt.
Here's the thing: it's never full because the employees steal at the end of the night, so it's never full. That wouldn't have had a lot of weight to it. I think really his best option would have been the Twisted Tea.
It's a solid pick.
It's and I don't know if that was if he was intending to purchase that, and that was just his beverage of choice, if you will.
I'll buy that guy a lifetime supply of Twisted Tea.
So now, and here's what I want to say about this. Socially, I think pretty much anyone that watches that video and their ire gets up, their dander gets up, they feel this was socially the correct move. Legally, it was not the correct move. This guy,
he drops the tea, and if you watch the video, the guy tries to kick him. At that point, he's got every right to defend himself, and I'm saying that as a armchair lawyer because my law degree doesn't exist. But it seems to me when he tried to kick him, he's got every opportunity, he's got every right to defend himself at that point in time.
I hope that's the case. I don't know if that translates well into a court of law. Not really sure, like you said. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not looking to press charges against the guy. I'm not going to go hunt him down. He seems like I think he's a married father of 5. He doesn't have any kind of record or anything.
Not if he's got a Twisted Tea in his arm. I'm not hunting him down. I'm not going after him, man.
I want to send this guy like a pallet of Twisted Tea.
I think Kuber's saying that the main event doesn't endorse violence unless it's absolutely
correct. That's kind of what I want. Yes,
absolutely necessary. And Javier Vasquez just chimed in. How you doing, brother?
What is up, Chef Javi? We also have some other breaking news by Coach Muckenfoos here. It looks like Mike Evans will be in next week. No tear.
Boom.
There we go. Breaking news.
It's karma, gentlemen. It's karma. Defending Stanley Cup champions, World Series appearance. It's karma.
Tampa title town.
Title town. And by the way, we just got B-Level. You weren't at the house today for watching the football since you were in the suite, like a pretentious, pompous donkey.
Listen,
we were schluffing it on the Chiefs couch, watching the game on a miniature television. We discussed plans for taking advantage of having the Super Bowl in our hometown. So if you are watching right now, take the opportunity to hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and hit the little bell next to it. That's going to let you know when we post a new video because we have some huge videos coming this year. This is going to be a huge year for us.
Do we have any picks yet that we can make for next week at all right before we get off here?
I don't think so.
We don't have them yet. They have not released a schedule. I'm just looking at it.
Here's what we'll do.
We can make a quick video in the middle of the week here and upload our picks.
So we can post it on our Facebook page or our YouTube page or something later in the week. We'll get on for 5 or 10 minutes or whatever. But gentlemen, we're out of time. Woo! How did it happen so fast?
I went like that.
I told you, guys, you'll miss something.
So, well, we had a great time here tonight. I hope you had a great time as well. We will be back next week at 7 o'clock, of course, because this is our number one favorite part-time job. That's what we do. So, to all of you, I can't do any better than that. Good night.
Out.